Howdy folks, it is Diecastbuffet here again. In today's video, we're going to be showing my entire 2002 NASCAR Diecast collection. I know a lot of y'all have been wanting me to do a collection video, so guess what? We're going to do it. So, we're going to do this, all the 2002 Diecast I have, I'll be showing in this video. So make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and let's go ahead and hop into it. Alrighty folks, it is time to get into my collection video here. 2002 is my favorite year in NASCAR, and I tell you what man, the diecasts from it are, they hold a very special spot in my heart. Here is a 2002 distributors exclusive Jimmie Johnson Lowe's Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Now this thing is absolutely fantastic. Ridiculously beautiful silver. It is a clean paint scheme. It is based on the winner circle / action mold. Most of the Jimmie Johnson cars, at least in 02, were on this mold right here. And believe it or not, I got this car when I was, holy cow, probably like 2 or 3 way back in the day. I had no clue that Jimmie Johnson was going to go and win 7 NASCAR championships. So this thing has been open since probably 2002 or 03. This one I bought a couple years ago because I didn't even know this car existed. But this is the difference here. Most people who had their collections back in the day, they had the Racing Champions one, which is the top one. The bottom one being the Winner Circle one. 2 distinct different molds. The paint quality, the decal quality, significantly better with the distributors exclusive. But absolutely, man, 2 rookie Jimmie Johnson diecasts here. And who would have thought way back in 02 that this guy would go on to win 7 NASCAR, well, back in the day, Winston Cup championships. But another car set here, we got 2002 John Andretti Pop Secret Dodge Intrepid. My God, man, talk about one of the best looking paint schemes I've ever seen, and I honestly still stand by that today. I love the popcorn paint schemes of the Dodge Intrepid, the Richard Petty 43, these Hot Wheels diecasts. This was a Hot Wheels car made way back in 02. Rubber wheels. The windows have window bar graphics that's actually detailed. You can feel the aggressive texture with it. Fantastic clear coat. Think about this. This thing was opened probably in 2002, 2003, and it still retains its gloss, even though this thing was used heavily. You could see by the spoiler how many chips it has, but the gloss they used on these were a super enamel. It's something like high-grade enamel. Whatever they did, these things hold a ridiculously good, high-quality gloss. 15, 20 years later, man. It's incredible. They are the best NASCAR diecasts ever made as far as I'm concerned. Was the 2001, oh really, 2000 to 2005 Hot Wheels diecast. Now, here's John Andretti's primary paint scheme for the 02 Winston Cup season. Unfortunately, you know, that was kind of his last hurrah in the Cup Series. But absolutely, man. I love this paint scheme. The Petty Blue. I don't know why they haven't done a throwback to this, the Cheerios Dodge. I mean, my God, man. Cheerios was such a huge part of the Winston Cup era, even in the Nextel Cup era, and going into the Sprint Cup. I mean, there was so many beautiful Cheerios paint schemes way back in the day. This one is a 2002 Tony Stewart Pontiac Grand Prix. My God. To me, this is the greatest car mold ever in NASCAR history. The 2002 Pontiac Grand Prix. The nose, very, you know, it just had the perfect nose to it, very flat, but it's just, I don't know, low profile. But if you looked at the street cars, 2002 Pontiac Grand Prix, the nose is identical. The back bumper is identical. I love the freaking 02 Pontiacs, man. In 03, they went to the universal nose. So 2002 to me was the final year. If there was ever really stock left in the Gen 4 era, 2002 was the last year for that. This one, we have a 2002, all these are 02, so I really shouldn't say it, but just to clarify, this is the Home Depot, what is it, Charlie Brown, well, Pontiac Grand Prix. I almost said Tony Camry there. I'm so used to seeing the 20 and saying, you know, Eric Jones or Kenseth, but my goodness, man, talk about an amazing paint scheme here, you know. And both of these paint schemes, in fact, all these paint schemes are present on NASCAR Thunder 2003, so you can have the bright, super bright orange Home Depot Pontiac, or you can go for more of a midnight, maybe a Bristol night race look, or a Charlotte fall race look with the Home Depot piece. I love those Pontiacs, man. So the next car we're going to show here, this is a 2002, what's his face? Casey Atwood. A lot of cats do not know what this guy is, but let's just say he was poised to be a great driver in the Cup Series. He was brought up through the ranks as he's going to be a star for the Evernham team, and let's just say, unfortunately, he kind of turned into a bust. No disrespect, but not everybody can be successful in Winston Cup racing.
But this is a beautiful paint scheme, man. My God, the metallic blue. Like, that is real metallic blue. You have kind of almost like a silver pinstripe almost. It goes across. It actually has some silver etching to it with a white stripe in the middle. Call it shoelaces, if you will. And the whole nose of the car here is black, and it kind of goes over the A, B, and C posts. Now, this car is partially inaccurate, but partially is. I know most of the races in 02, this car ran with day-glow numbers, which, in my opinion, looks terrible. I'll be honest with you, it looks terrible. This is such a better-looking car with white numbers, not those goofy day-glow. But, I mean, the blue on this car is fantastic. And a little fun fact here, this car was actually on one of my birthday cakes way back in the day. Probably 05, maybe 04. It was on, it was a little, it looked like a racetrack or something. It was pretty cool. We got the Evernham Dodge right there. I got another one over here. Let me go get it real quick, fellas. This is his Muppets Serious Dodge Intrepid, and the silver on this thing is absolutely fantastic. Truth be told, when I look at this car, it really reminds me of it, like a Dallas Cowboys alternate jersey for some reason. But I look at it, you got the Muppets character, you got the piano. I mean, this is creative sponsorship. This is back when sponsors truly gave a crap about their race cars and how they wanted it. I mean, think of the detail. You got the music notes. You got the piano pattern across the whole front of the car. You have the dude over here on the nose. Go over to the back end of the car. I mean, this thing is absolutely a beautiful race car, man. And I tell you what, it's been open for probably 18 years now, and my God, it has stood the test of time. What a beautiful, beautiful freaking diecast here, fellas. Fantastic, fantastic piece here. Now, I know a lot of Kyle Busch fans are going to love these. This is a 02 Kenny Schrader M&M's Pontiac Grand Prix. Now, a lot of people, this is a little bit of a, you know, a history lesson, so to speak, for the newer fan out there. So, you can see there is a absolute ridiculous difference between both of these cars. They're both from the same year, and they're both Pontiacs. But you can see the bottom is a Racing Champions mold. The nose is significantly smaller, and the tail end as well. This is the difference. So this would be considered your cheap car, right? This is the Racing Champions you would see at Family Dollar, Dollar General, whatever, right? Cheaper, but they made a lot more die-cast. This one is the Winner Circle. This is the higher quality one, but they didn't make as many. Well, this car has a very different mold. Back in the day, you would have 5, maybe 6 different die-cast manufacturers, and this paint scheme, I mean, I love the paint scheme, but I really do not like the mold. The Pontiac Grand Prix to me is such a beautiful car. It needs to be treated that way. So, unfortunately, that car got produced on there. But if you have the 2000 Ken Schrader car, the 36 machine, you can get that beautiful Winner Circle mold because they produced it on that. Now, this one has seen absolutely better days here. But these are 2 cars from 02. He had a bunch of beautiful paint schemes. But this is the 4th of July car. Like I said, these things are cheaper grade. I mean, even the spoiler is bent on this thing. So, I mean, this thing's really been through a lot. Look how bad the right side is. This is probably my worst condition car. The problem is the clear coat's not strong. Truth be told, if you probably took one of these out of the box and you put a heavy clear coat, maybe like a Tamiya model grade clear coat on these things, that would probably last a whole lot longer. It's just obviously, you know, with the budget, you know, things, they obviously can't last long enough. But yeah, you could definitely feel it's a very thin clear coat. I would argue that the clear coat on this 43 here, fellas, is 3 to 5 times stronger than the Racing Champions one. So that just gives you another example. Here's another one of those Racing Champions cars. It's our old buddy Johnny Benson. His Valvoline Max Life Pontiac Grand Prix. Again, I love the paint schemes. I don't like the mold. To be honest with you, I'd rather have a custom made of this paint scheme on a Winner Circle / Action Pontiac Grand Prix than have that one. Here is a interesting one here. So this one is labeled as a 2002 car, but I believe it was actually released in 01. So the model of the car here, you can see, you might not be able to read it, but it says 02 Dodge Intrepid. So way back in the day, this is when they made 50,000 of each freaking diecast. Let's say the year's 01. They had a 2002 preview line. So they would have some cars from the next year that would preview and release early. Now, to my knowledge, this was released in 01, but it's based off the early 2002 paint scheme. So I really don't know what to classify this car as. I just went with 02 because that's what the manufacturer year label says. But you could really go either way with it. But a beautiful Bill Elliott car that absolutely needs to be a Chase Elliott throwback. I mean, come on, man. They could put A-Shock Energy on the side. You get the Evernham number 9. They could goof up the nose to make it look right. They should make an A-Shock throwback with the Evernham colors. I think everybody would freaking like that. Here's another Bill Elliott piece right here. This is one of those Muppets cars. I think it was the 2002 Tropicana 400 where they had the promo for all the Muppets paint schemes. But look at this. You have all kinds of like dishware and silverware and whatnot. At the bottom of the car here, you have the old cook over here doing his thing. You got the Muppets guy on the nose. I mean, it was a 25-year anniversary, I think, for the Muppets. But absolutely, man, what a beautiful freaking diecast here. Love these things, man, I tell you. And you know, you go to your retail stores way back in the day, you would have 5, 6, 7 different diecast brands on one aisle. That's haulers, 164s, 132s, 118s, 124s, sometimes maybe even a 187 in the same aisle with so many different brands. I mean, it was ridiculous how much NASCAR merchandise they used to have way back in the day. Also have another Jimmy Johnson car here. This was made in the Racing Champions mold, but you could see pretty quickly here, guys, how the Racing Champions mold for the Chevrolet Monte Carlos looks great, but for the Pontiac Grand Prix, it's pretty goofy. But this is his Power of Pride paint scheme here. Love the old Jimmy Johnson paint schemes, man. They're beautiful, beautiful cars. This one's one of the all-time greatest paint schemes ever. The 02 Sterling Marlin Coors Light. Well, it's obviously the censored version, but this would be the Coors Light Dodge for Ganassi. This guy, for those who don't know, Sterling Marlin was the favorite to win the 02 championship. He got hurt badly at Kansas, and Tony Stewart kind of paved his way to take that championship, but he was the favorite. I mean, it was like 2020 Kevin Harvick. That's how powerful he was, and it just poofed up in smoke at the end of the year. Here's a Robbie Gordon 02 Singular Wireless Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Another great example of a throwback needing to happen here. I mean, I tell you what, man, the Robbie Gordon 31 cars are beautiful. He was the road course guy. He was like the modern day AJ Allmendinger, man. Every time they went to the Glen, or Infineon as it was called back in the day, or Sears Point, I tell you what, this cat was a threat to be reckoned with, man. He was absolutely fantastic. Here's his, they had a whatchamacallit. At 2002 and 2001, they had a special event they called the Monte Carlo 400, and it had a Looney Tunes theme to it, okay? That was a big thing back in the 2000s. Well, all like the big Chevrolet teams, Richard Childress Racing, and then, of course, Hendrick Motorsports, DI, they had like these paint schemes. They had the characters on them. So they would get their cars, they would go, this is during the actual cup race, and they would have their characters and stuff on the cars. And this was it Pepe Le Pew, something like that. But what a beautiful paint scheme, man. I mean, my gosh. That is an awesome freaking diecast here, man. Beautiful, beautiful piece. I would love to see a throwback of that. I know they couldn't get the rights for it, but why not? Here's a car we did a review on not too long ago, about a year and a half. Jimmy Spencer's 02 Muppets Dodge Intrepid. This thing is opened, it's like still got that new touch to it. It's been sealed in my case from dust, but what a beautiful car here, man. The Target Dodge Intrepid. God, I love those old Ganassi cars, man. But this was ran at the Tropicana 400, I believe. It was either a 1-race or a 2-race promotion with the Muppets camp, but it was definitely back in the summer of 02. What a fantastic looking paint scheme right there, my dude. And I had the primary paint scheme, even though it's been through a demolition derby. Obviously the whole car, like the white on it, it's kind of yellowed, so it's probably some dirt and grease throughout 18 years. I probably could take some type of cleaner, fix that up, but obviously the Target decal has been kind of scrubbed off, unfortunately. But honestly, when I look at these cars, I'm like, man, they're kind of scratched up. And I've seen some like other people's cars that have been they have when they were younger, and I mean they're like 5 times worse than this. So I feel kind of proud that I didn't completely destroy my stuff growing up as a kid. And, we got another Johnny Benson car here. Here's the Eagle 1 Pontiac Grand Prix. I mean, Pontiacs were the coolest thing in NASCAR. I'm sorry. Like, I know Dodge was a new thing back in the 2000s, but, man, it was all about those Pontiac Grand Prix for me, man. Freaking love those things. Here was a Jeremy Mayfield Muppets Dodge. Back in those years, Dodge kind of sponsored Evernham. They kind of floated the ship, so to speak. It was a big program that went on for God knows how many years, probably about 8 years or so. For those who don't know, up until the 2001 Daytona 500, Dodge was on like almost a 2-decade hiatus. So in 02 or 03, they were still a very new manufacturer, just like Toyota would be maybe in 09 or 08. But love those old Evernham pieces. Here's a very cool looking Kevin Harvick car from 02. This is his Goodwrench paint scheme. 2002 was known as a very forgetful year for Kevin Harvick, even though he did win at Chicago that year, and I think somewhere else, maybe New Hampshire. But he had a lot of bad luck that season. I still love this paint scheme though. The silver, the black, and a little bit of some day glow. Very sharp, and I think he ran a patriotic version of this car. Like, it had the hood had American flag or something on it. It was beautiful, man. It was an absolutely beautiful car. I think they made a 1/24 scale of that. And this one of my all-time favorite diecasts, no questions asked. Jeff Burton's 2002 Sicko Ford Taurus, man. Holy cow. Believe it or not, I actually have 3 of these things. I have 2 of them still mint in the box. This one I opened because I want to do a review on, and I never had this paint scheme growing up, so I always freaking wanted it, man. I love this paint scheme so freaking much, man. It is one of the best looking race cars ever. I don't care who you are. It is one of the best looking cars ever. And this one is what I consider a Jeff Burton grail right here. It has been through, a lot, I know, but it is the Bassmaster Sicko Ford Taurus. And believe it or not, after years of searching, I found another one of these. It's coming in shortly. I don't have it in time for this video, but it's being shipped. But I found one mint in the box. I'm not going to open it, right? I'm not going to open it, but I wanted to have that car. So I have the mint version of the 02 Primary. Now I have the mint version of the Bassmaster's Classic car here. And now I have this one, which I got way back in the day. I think I got this one with a Dale Jarrett 03 Primary. This, apparently, to my sources, shout out to Wimmer Fan 33 for letting me know on this. This was a exclusive. This wasn't a liquid color like you see in NASCAR Authentics, but it was treated like that. So I'd say they had a case of 10 diecasts. These are a Hot Wheels brand one. This would be the liquid color or the one per case type of thing. So it would be this car, or maybe like the Barry Burst Johnny Andretti from 03. There was a few different paint schemes they rotated, but nonetheless, it was one of the rarest cars you could get from the 2002 year. And I tell you what, I've been looking for years, and I've never seen this car for sale until now, and I picked it up at a super good price. But I kind of want to ask you all a question on this, guys. So obviously this thing was partially stepped on as a kid because you can see the axle bent. I thought about drilling this thing out very carefully, right? Repairing that axle and then gluing it back together because I really feel like this car should have its axles rolling. Or I might even just buy a cheap one of these and replace the back wheel if I can't repair it. Because I really want to fix this car up, man. It is that rare, dude. It is, in my opinion, a Jeff Burton grail. Now, here's a driver you probably never even heard of. Hutch Strickland's 2002 Hills Brothers coffee car. I love this paint scheme. Very retro. And this is a Racing Champions mold. So here's another story time, or not story time, but I guess you call it education on the older diecast. Notice how slim the roof is. No, this 223 car was not stepped on. It wasn't thrown against the wall. That is the exact mold. That's how flat the roofs are on that freaking car. I mean, it looks like a bobsled. I mean, that thing is aerodynamic. This is the Winter Circle / Action mold. This one is the Racing Champion. So you can see a pretty significant difference between the cheaper one and then, of course, the higher quality one. I believe this is for Bill Davis Racing. I don't know if it was full-time, but I think he DNQ'd a few races. Here is a Busch car from way back in the day. Kerry Earnhardt's Janet King number 12. Now, this one's obviously seen some better days, but what a cool looking paint scheme. Now, it does need a little bit of some de-dusting here. But here's a little fun fact for the day here. So guess who sponsors the number 9 car nowadays? And a lot of people, like myself included, thought this was a sponsor that's never been in the sport before. Check that out right there. Lumar. Right there on the C-pillar there. Never knew they were in the Winston Cup, or back in the day, Busch Series. They were probably on a Winston Cup car at some point. But I never knew that. And I'm like, what? And they have the same logo and everything, which is just makes it even more funny. Here's a Kevin Harvick Busch car from '02. A lot of people don't know he won the Busch Championship in '01, and he pretty much ran the entire Busch Series season, and every race except for the '01 500 for the Winston Cup circuit. But in '02, he had the Action Diecast collectibles. Don't call that number, obviously. It probably don't work anymore, as Robbie Noonan would say. But this was the ET Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And my God, talk about a paint scheme that needs a throwback. I mean, this, like, interstellar, like, just sci-fi, beautiful paint scheme. My God, man. I mean, this is back in '02. And they had paint schemes like this. They truly do not make paint schemes the same anymore. I'm just saying, man. Back in these days, every one of these teams had a merchandise hauler. They had a merchandise hauler. They had souvenirs at the racetrack. Every time a NASCAR race was in town, you would see these cats doing show cars and stuff like that. I mean, it was unbelievable how popular the sport was back in the day. Here is a Scott Wimmer Busch car from '02. It is, of course, on the Racing Champions mold, unfortunately, but what a cool looking paint scheme, man. I mean, I guess you call it turquoise, a sea green with the red 23. Really, really cool. What I think is funny, though, where's that Hutch Strickland diecast at? Is these cars pretty much have the same number, same font and everything, but one's a Pontiac and one's a Dodge. I think that's kind of funny. You know, the Busch Series back in the day was pretty interesting, though. It was pretty interesting. It was definitely different than it is nowadays. Here's a Jeff Green. Speaking of Busch Series, he won the 2000 Busch Championship. He was a very top prospect, and unfortunately never panned out. But the AOL American Online Chevrolet. For those who don't know, this was like the YouTube. This was like the Twitter of the 2000s, man. It was the biggest like internet company out there, or whatever website crap. Obviously, it's nowhere near as popular, but I mean, this thing was just a giant back in the 2000s. AOL, obviously, it's still around, but it's nowhere near as popular, you know. But it's really cool. It's not a social media thing. It's like literally like a web browser, like Google, you know. This one is a really cool car here. Here is Martin's '02 Viagra Ford Toys. This is a really cool piece right here. Now, this is from a different manufacturer. This is from Team Caliper. Team Caliper. This one's got a metal base, rubber tires. You can take this. Actually, no, this has rivets. Some of these I thought had screws in them. No, this one has rivets. But this is a metal-based car. Obviously, it's got the, you know, sometimes if you got the Martin car from '02, in the Hot Wheels line, it would say Pfizer, which is the brand that obviously, you know, that logo right there, Pfizer. But if you got the, you know, the Team Caliber one, they had the bypass where they could actually use the censored or uncensored logos. But what a fantastic looking car here, man. Love this metal chassis, got some weight to it. So definitely a quality freaking diecast right there, man. We still got some more here to show. Here's a '02 Jimmy Johnson. What is this? You get the cat dude, and you got Tweety Bird. I forget his name. Sylvester, I think. But look at this paint scheme, man. This is beautiful. This was ran at that fall Richmond race. I believe Jeff Gordon won it in '02. I don't know who won it in '01. But they ran it for like 2 years, and it was they were building up the hype for the Looney Tunes movie. That's what they were doing. They were trying to connect with the sport to help boost it up, which I think did really well. But what a fantastic Jimmy Johnson card. Arguably the most forgotten Jimmy Johnson paint scheme ever. What a fantastic car. And I tell you what, man, they made so many of these Looney Tunes cars from back in the day, man. I mean, they made so many of them. I remember as far back, like, these things were produced in '02, and I remember seeing them in '05. That's how many they produced of these. And especially for drivers and teams like this, the Morgan McClure team here. To my knowledge, this is the only car from '02 that was produced for this team in this mold. They had a special contract with Looney Tunes and Warner Brothers that they could get the smaller teams that participated in the program, they could get their merchandise involved with Winner Circle, the highest grade at the time. Winner Circle Action, same difference. This thing's been a little chipped up, but one of my favorite paint schemes, man. Now, this car apparently actually ran with red wheels, and I'll be honest with you, it looked like crap. I'll be honest with you, the red wheels really didn't work with this. I think the artwork is a little bit different on the actual car. This thing was probably, honestly, on store shelves probably 5 months before the race, because they used to have every single paint scheme out before the Daytona 500. Unlike nowadays, where everything is months after the 500. But beautiful, beautiful paint scheme. This is the same artwork that they used for Thunder 2003. A lot of people don't notice, but if you look at Jeff Burton's 02 paint scheme, this little quarter panel is completely different. But if you look on NASCAR Thunder 2003, it's the same exact paint scheme as this. So I think what it is the team send those artworks out to the diecast companies, and then they send them out to the video game companies, at the time EA Sports. They do that well in advance, you know, their first artwork, and then the sponsors might change it down the road. But yeah, here is a super, super interesting one. So this is a little history lesson again. So way back in 02, this is again for the fall Richmond race, Bobby Hamilton drove the 55 car that season. Well, anyways, he got hurt or something, and he couldn't race there. Greg Biffle, yes, Greg Biffle drove a Chevrolet in the Cup Series. This was back when he was competing for the championship, which he won in 02. He won the Busch Championship. He drove this 55 car. I believe this was Andy Petrie's team. They drove this car at Richmond. I don't remember where he finished, but I could not believe that Bobby Hamilton did not race this car, because this was only a one-race deal. It was actually Greg Biffle. I couldn't believe it. And Greg Biffle at that time was a Ford Roush Cat, which is really weird for a young driver who's competing for a Busch Championship with Ford at Roush, the biggest team in the Ford camp, pretty much, is driving a Chevrolet. Pretty weird stuff. Here is a Joe Nemechek 25 UAW Delphi Chevrolet Monte Carlo. This thing is really cool, man. I tell you what a freaking cool looking paint scheme. It is just it's not a super bright orange, but it's definitely kind of like a Wheaties box orange. Day glow numbers. You got I can't think of his name, but Speedy Gonzalez, I think it is. I mean, what a cool looking paint scheme, man. That cat's all around the car, running around. You have like the sand and the desert pattern to it. What a cool looking car, man. And I tell you what, if you see the back end of these Chevrolet Monte Carlos, like if you've seen an 02 Monte Carlo on the street, I guarantee you, it looks exactly like this and exactly like that. Because this was back in the day where stock car racing was so God-given popular. It was not only second to the NFL, right? But the manufacturers used to base the Dodge Intrepid, the Pontiac Grand Prix, and of course the Chevrolet Monte Carlo. They used to build their street cars to compete in NASCAR. That's why the 02 Monte Carlo looks so weird. That's why the Pontiac Grand Prix in 02, they market it as a super wide car. They wanted to have an advantage on the racetrack. It was so cool. Now it's like vice versa. They build whatever they want, and NASCAR tries to replicate it. It was the other way around back in the day. It was really cool. And I got two more cars here. Here is a 02 Kevin Harvick Tasmania Devil Goodwrench Chevrolet. Oh my god, what a cool paint scheme here, man. Just a very nice blue paint job. The axles need some work here, but just very nice accents of yellow. The whole road is being torn up by Taz. What a cool looking paint scheme, man. I tell you, there was just something about the old school paint schemes, you know. They were so different. They were so cool, and I just wanted to do this video for y'all guys. And the final car here that I'll show, it is Terry Labonte's 02 Kellogg's machine. We absolutely need a new cereal sponsor in NASCAR. There's no Cheerios, there's no General Mills, there's no Post, there's no Kellogg's. When can we get a new cereal brand? I don't care if it's freaking like one of those like super organic cereals like Kashi or whatever they call it. Just give me some cereal brands back in the sport, man. Now this thing has seen much better days, but my god, man, I love these freaking cars here, man. Alrighty, folks, that is it for today's video. I know y'all been asking, y'all wanted me to do a collection video, and I wanted to do one so badly, but I have so many cars, and obviously very blessed and thankful to have them, but I wanted to do it year by year, and one of my favorite year ever in NASCAR history is 02. I mean, it is such a fantastic season for the sport. I do have a few cars I didn't show on camera. I have a 02 Ricky Rudd Iron Man car when he broke the, I think, Terry Labonte's record at the Coke 600. I had that car in 164 and 124. I didn't, obviously, those are my case right now. I don't want to, you know, go and dig those things out, but absolutely, man. These are all my 2002 cars I have in my case here. And then, of course, I have that Jeff Burton Bassmasters car on the way. And then I have the two primary car still in the Hot Wheels box. But absolutely, man, love these freaking paint schemes. Which one of these is your favorite, man? Like I said, man, diecast collecting back in 02, 03, 04, 05 was a completely different universe. There was like 5 or 6 different brands of them. I mean, you had so many options as a collector, man, and it seemed like every single paint scheme got produced. It didn't matter. If Johnny Benson ran 10 different paint schemes in 02, it would be impossible for them to not make all 10 of them. I mean, the collecting market nowadays is significantly different. You know, obviously things change and whatnot, but man, I would love to see more variety. That's what I would love to see. More competition, more variety. And I tell you what, you know, it's so cool how you can go to your local store and you could pick out between 4 or 5 different brands for the same paint scheme. And I'll end the video on this. A little fun fact here. Jimmie Johnson in 02, okay? He had so many different cars and so many different packaging made in 02 for his stuff. His cars were in Racing Champions. They were obviously made in Winter Circle. There was another brand I think they made them in. Maybe, yeah, Team Caliper, I think. And in 03, they also had in Hot Wheels as well. Jimmie Johnson, the reason why Hendrick let Jimmie Johnson go with so many different diecast manufacturers is because Hendrick wanted to get Jimmie Johnson's name out there as much as possible. So they put him through so many different diecast manufacturers and toy lines or whatever to try to get his name saturated in the sport. Combine that with a unbelievable connection with Chad Knaus winning at Fontana in 02, sweeping Dover, coming back in 03, nearly won the championship in 02, and going in 03 and just continue to just dominate out of all the young drivers. I mean, he was clearly something was different with Johnson, and I tell you what, man, he just took the torch and ran with it. But a little fun factor, that's the reason why Jimmie Johnson was not a exclusive like Jeff Gordon. Obviously, Gordon had a few Hot Wheels releases because they were like not liquid, but they were watercolor changing ones. But they tried to get Johnson's name established so much in the merchandise market that way it would help grow him as a NASCAR driver and his his fan base, which obviously worked. He's a 7-time champion. But anyways, folks, thank y'all so much for watching the video. If you can, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Doing this video for y'all. And if you want to ever get free shipping on anything NASCAR Diecast related, they might have a few O2 cards over there at Circle B Diecast and Plan B Sales. Make sure to check out the link down below. Use the promo code DIECASTbuffet, and any orders $20 or more, fellas, you'll get free shipping. So make sure to go check that one out. It helps out the channel as well. Have a great one, folks. And my favorite car here, probably that Jimmie Johnson one. Have a great one, folks. Diecast Buffet, signing off.